pyramid.
Are you saying the food pyramid's junk?
I'm saying there is no science on the food pyramid.
Are you saying it's junk?
I'm saying in its original founding, it was marketing.
Junk food.
It was junk.
It's junk.
It was junk.
Wow.
Bunk. Junk.
Welcome to Doctor Within, where we believe the doctor in here is better than any doctor out there. And tonight's episode is again on another health myth. And we are going to dispel this myth. And I'm Dr. Pat Kennedy, and I'm a chiropractor for 32 years. And Charlie Ray here, who is the owner of Nature's Outlet and a nutrition expert. And John Rigdon.
Why do you always introduce him first?
Because
I was here first.
He was here first, and we're honoring
ageism.
Elders because you're just a young guy.
Yeah, the
Okay.
young buck.
But
I
I appreciate
dues,
the fact that as a young person, you're curious and thirsting for knowledge.
That's true.
And I'm glad you could provide that to him.
You know, and I look at Mr Miyagi here,
Yeah.
wax on, wax off, and you're still in that phase, John.
Hey, I'm glad you didn't say because.
Just because.
because
I said so.
because I said so. Okay, we've been having some fun with some myths, and the public, we really want them to not just take this as fun stuff. This is serious stuff.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
We only have one body.
Yep.
And there's when I say that to my patients, they only have one spine. Mm. And when people are they're like, well, you know what? I'm going to go get corrective surgery on my spine. I show them a picture of corrective surgery. Corrective surgery is where they remove spinous processes. And if you've ever been in the operating room, which I have, and I've watched some of my patients have these procedures, they literally take a vice grip and they twist the spinous process off. And I was aghast and going, oh my God. I figured it would be like, slicing and cutting. They take the spinous process, twist it off, and they put it in a cup.
What kind of sound did that make?
Nothing, because it's not dry bone, like it's got fluid in it because where it's inside tissue. So living bone is a little bit different. They literally have to twist it to rip it off, and then they have to weigh all the pieces and stuff. That is not corrective surgery, okay? There's going to be ramifications to that. So when we're talking about myths and fact versus fiction, before the show, you were talking about this food pyramid, which I grew up on in kindergarten. I remember learning the food pyramid. Is the food pyramid fact or is it fiction?
Well, so what food pyramid? What did you learn? What did they teach you?
Oh, that we needed to eat dairy and grains.
The base of the pyramid was.
It was
breads,
grains,
cereals, right.
And then we had to get a lot of that.
And then we had some dairy,
mm-hmm.
And then further up, they threw in a few fruits and vegetables,
right.
Or maybe it was meat. And then I don't recall the specific order of the original one,
right? Because the top was very little, but you needed some vegetables.
That was your fat. Your fat was at the
fats.
very top.
Okay, fat.
Like your butter and your eggs.
Yeah.
Don't eat too much of that.
Yeah, be careful with that.
Yeah, keep that down.
So that food pyramid, which was endorsed by the government and promulgated as the way to eat healthy. Do you want to hear how many scientific studies went into all that?
Yes, I would like to hear that.
Can you guess?
I'm going to guess 0.
Dang, you cut me off at the pass. It's 0. So what's really happening there? There's no research on it. How did it even happen? Was there a food pyramid?
You mentioned that, and I remember being a kid and flipping the pyramid over and seeing that it was funded by the dairy industry
and other industrial interests.
As a kid and very curious, and I already was.
What happened was this was some collusion between the government and some industry back in the day, And the problem that they were dealing with is they had a bunch of agricultural surplus. They had way too much. They had a bumper crop of grain, and they had way too much of these products, and they didn't know what to do with them. They were like, "Gosh, they're going to go bad, and we're going to have to throw them away." So somebody somewhere had this idea. Well, we'll create this food pyramid, and we'll tell everybody that the stuff
You
we
need this.
that you need this stuff, and it's healthy.
Like a mask?
Right. Well,
I'll tell you what, I wish I had some stock in masks because, 2 years ago, they were like, yeah, we're sending masks. But everyone in the whole world buying masks now. Anyway, sorry.
I knew a guy who had a warehouse about, I don't know, an hour or two from here. I don't want to give away his location or any of this stuff, but he had a bunch of N95 masks when this thing broke out, and there were interests from other countries flew on 747s to procure these masks that he had in surplus.
Is he in the Caribbean now, just retired?
He was worried. He was scared of what was going to happen to him because he had these masks. He thought, well, they're either going to take them away, they're going to do something to me, like they're going to accuse me of like
Ice gouging.
he was worried about price gouging. He's like, people are going to say I started this pandemic because I have masks. He's like, he didn't know what to think because there's a lot of weird people came out of the woodwork to talk to him very quickly, and he actually got high dollar offers because think about when this thing first came out and like it was like freak zone.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were local doctors that found out about these masks and they were going to pay many dollars per mask and this and that because there were no masks. And he was like, well, I've got these things, they're valuable, and as a businessman I want to make as much money as I can, but by goodness, they'll arrest me if I sell them at the, so how do I even know what's a good price to even, what's the price I can do, the maximum price? I mean, think about this. You're a businessman. Okay, what's the maximum price I can get for these things but not go to jail?
Right.
That's a weird place to be. Right. But anyway, so...
That's how the government was with soybeans.
I guess, back in the day.
They were
they had all this
China.
excess grain, and so they're just like, you got to eat cereal all day, and you got to eat bread, and you got to eat all these processed carbohydrates. Well... Going back to something we were talking about earlier, how do you fatten livestock for slaughter?
Greens is a good thing.
Right. So you take them out of the field where they're eating grass. Because grass-fed, I mean, there's a reason that grass-fed beef is not as popular or as common as grain, either finished or grain-fed beef. It's because grain-fed beef, those animals... basically explode.
More marbling.
They become super fat.
Tastes good.
Heavy.
It does taste
fat
good.
equals flavor.
Right.
But what's weird is like the normal composition of animal fat has a certain fatty acid profile. Like healthy animals, the type of fat in their fat is a certain way. They have something called conjugated linoleic acid. It's like
omega-3s.
Omega-3s.
Yeah.
You've got these healthy things that are healthy for us to eat. When you feed those animals the grain, they become less healthy.
Omega-6s.
They become sicker. They become inflamed. They become obese.
Oh, wow.
So
now you're talking about the fats that you need for brain function. So my brain just went to... Gosh, this is why I'm seeing a mental deterioration of patients who are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who have cognitive problems today that were the same problems that I saw 30 years ago in people who were 70, 80, and 90.
Yeah, because our brains are starved for the good fats.
And vision,
omega-3 fatty acids. Our brains are starving for omega-3s.
Yeah. Wow.
Starving. I mean, that's one of the reasons that
So you want to have grass-fed beef.
Oh, it's way healthier.
It's good for your brain.
Yeah, it's way healthier. Also, CLA here like if I'm actually going to try to appeal to people, CLA is a fatty acid that promotes leanness. So eating grass-fed beef, and if you look at these kind of strict keto, paleo types that are all getting lean and feeling great and bragging about how good they feel, a big part of what they do is they go out of their way to eat grass-fed beef or grass-fed
elk and
deer and
venison.
wild animals and not avoiding the feedlot animals where they're just dumping grain onto these animals because these animals are sicker. I mean, some of them are so lacking in health. We joked about this, but it's true. Some of these animals are so lacking in health that they have to bulldoze them into the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, there's video evidence of that. It's terrifying.
And that's our food supply. So imagine. Okay, so that's what it does to the animals that we eat, but then directly we're eating that way ourselves. We're eating the same crap, and it has the same effect. I mean, eating piles of grain. It's basically it disrupts your metabolism. You're causing inflammation in your system. You're screwing up your blood sugar royally. So your insulin levels are going haywire, which leads to what disorder does that lead to?
Diabetes.
Right. And diabetes is basically the precursor to. Basically, if you have diabetes, you're increasing the risk of every other disease out there. Mm-hmm. So you're getting complications from diabetes. So basically, what they told us, not only was it just kind of like, it was just marketing and not based on science, it's worse than that because it was actually the worst thing they could have told us from a health perspective. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that was their intention. They were just like, hey, we need to sell extra grain because we got it. I mean, I don't think there was this Machiavellian idea behind it, and there have been a few modifications to the food pyramid over time, but the average person thinks that the food pyramid is the prescription for health from the government.
What is a good food pyramid?
Turn it upside down is a good start.
Yeah, I agree.
You're gonna eat. You're gonna eat as simple as possible, because I don't want to take too long here. Meat and vegetables. Like real meat, like grass-fed, like healthy animals. And vegetables that are grown under good conditions. Do that, eat butter instead of synthetic fats, and you're that's it. You're good to go. But the food pyramid, I mean, in summation, not based on science. It was a bunch of marketing, and oh, by the way, a horrible plan for eating.
This is good stuff.
Yep.
Very good stuff. Well, I know we can go on more and more and more, and we're probably going to do some future episodes on busting some of these health myths. And also we should pivot and talk about what you can do and should do, right? So right now we're just kind of talking about what the myth is. Well, I think you already said that.
We did to some degree, but we can do a deeper dive because people are going to want to know more specific. They're going to have. In our stores, from experience, people have a lot of questions like, okay, what specifically, and that's what we do in our stores, is so you can come in and we can say, yeah, you want to eat this, not that. This is healthy, that's not healthy. Here's a supplement that's going to help with your issue, and then give you a plan that's affordable and effective and easy to follow.
Sounds like a good future episode.
So how can they, even before the future episode, how can they get in touch with you?
We have a website.
Yeah, amplifiednaturals.com. The email is info@amplifiednaturals.com. You can also get in touch with Dr. Pat Kennedy.
Because you want to take care of your frame too. Like
it's talking. It's going to be at the bottom here.
Oh, down
low. We'll send. If you email us, we'll send you to Dr. Pat too.
And if you email me, I'll just talk to you.
Perfect.
All right. Well, we do need to have some more of these episodes.
Sure.
And you know what? If you want us to go over a specific health topic, whether you think it's fact or fiction, if it's a myth or if it's not, if it's reality, send us a comment.
Oh, hey, how about this? What's a health myth, or what is something that you think might be a health myth? And include that in the comments, and that'll give us ideas about what you want to hear about. Because we honestly are here to help you guys, and would love to hear what you're interested in or what you're worried about.
How we can help you.
We're here to help. What can we do to help?
Yeah, because the doctor in here is way better than any doctor out there. So we're here to help. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.